This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth as Donald Trump weighs a U.S. strike as Iran's supreme leader says the battle has begun. In fact, the Wall Street Journal is reporting now that President Trump has already privately approved his attack plans for Iran, but he's just holding off right now on giving the final order. And like a complete madman in a press conference here, he says, I may do it, I may not. Nobody knows exactly what I'm going to do.
I may do it, I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
Absolutely insane. Meanwhile, the U.S. is already starting to evacuate diplomats from the embassy in Israel as prospects of the U.S. entering into this war lingers. You've got them organizing cruise ship evacuations right now of Americans from Israel. And as Trump considers striking Iran, Russia is already warning the world that they're millimeters away from nuclear catastrophe. You've got defense officials already floating the idea of having a tactical nuke to destroy Iran's Fordow site as the world awaits Trump's decision. President Trump told senior aides late Tuesday that he approved of an attack plan for Iran, but he was holding off to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. People familiar with the deliberation said, what nuclear program are we talking about here exactly? This is very reminiscent of the Bush era weapons of mass destruction lie. But back then they had to actually fabricate, some sort of evidence to prove that this was the case. Whereas now, we're just supposed to take it on Israel and Trump's word that that's what's happening, guys. This is like a decades-old meme that's been floating around that they're just in the final stages now of having these nukes. Donald Trump in fact, has been talking about how he's going to save the world's biggest problem since 1985. When this, potential nuclear war is going to go from cold to hot. So this guy's been, dealing with this for ages. Is this Trump's weapons of mass destruction moment as the president overrules his own intelligence agencies on Iran to justify this war? Again, viewers of this channel should not be surprised by any of this. If you go to my newly revived YouTube channel and you just type in the word Iran, you're going to find dozens of videos going back as far as like 13 years ago now explaining exactly what we're seeing today, like this 13-year-old video here. The global elite want a complete takeover of the Middle East. The situation with Iran is being manipulated in an effort to get the West behind their wars of aggression in the names of peace and security. Or this one, Trump's put Iran on notice, what you need to know, where I explain how this populist, television star is being used to get the MAGA crowd and others behind him to go into these wars of aggression in the Middle East. Or this one, the truth about the battle for Iran, what you need to know, where I explain that there's a great deception taking place here, as the masses in the West are being manipulated into going along with this war that is intended to overthrow the Iranian regime and to install a puppet leader, one whose strings can be pulled in any direction that the U.S. or their ally Israel desires. The bottom line here is this is not looking good for the Middle East. The CIA has been working to overthrow Syria and Iran for decades now with the help of their ally Israel, and the war drums are now beating louder than ever. They lied about Iraq. They lied about Libya. They lied about Afghanistan and Syria, and now Iran. So we have this man with his finger on the trigger right now, sitting in the Situation Room considering using a 30,000-pound bomb on Iran, and Israel is threatening to assassinate the supreme leader. And the latest here from the Wall Street Journal, guys, is that Trump's Iran attack decision is going to come within the next 2 weeks. So the war drums are beating louder and louder right now, guys. So we're going to talk about all of this and much more in this video. But really quickly, guys, I would ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you do appreciate my efforts to continuously bring you this information. Guys, as you know, you can do PayPal, you can do Bitcoin, you can do other cryptocurrencies. You could sign up for a monthly recurring contribution. You could send me an e-transfer to Dan at pressfortruth.ca, or you can send stuff to my P.O. box, guys. Links are located in the description below. Thank you so much to everybody who takes 1 minute today to support my efforts to bring you this information. All right, guys, President Trump told his senior aides late Tuesday that he approved of this attack plan for Iran, but he was holding off to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. People familiar with the deliberations said Iran's well-defended Fordow enrichment facility is a possible U.S. target. Israel is yet to attack the facility, which is buried underneath a mountain and generally considered by the military experts to be out of reach, all but for the most powerful bombs in the world. Asked earlier if he had decided whether or not to strike their nuclear facilities, he said, I might, I may not. You know, nobody knows exactly what I'm going to do. The next week is going to be very big, he said, maybe less than a week. Is this yet another last-ditch effort to strong-arm Tehran into the negotiation table? Well, they've already been on the negotiation table. You know, Trump, flippantly left that, a while ago. And in his press conference, he's saying, had they just continued to talk with me, I would have saved the day. None of this would be happening if they had just listened to me, this egomaniac said. Well, where Trump's hope is that it will declare zero enrichment. Has the U.S. commander-in-chief painted himself into a corner here and now it's all zero-sum? The Iranians remain under heavy Israel bombing right now, and with the leadership likely in deep bunkers, are unlikely to negotiate the end of their own regime, obviously. Trump may have finally pulled the trigger here, so the big question is, where is Congress in all of this? Well, where was Congress back when the Pentagon era with Bush, was pushing the weapons of mass destruction idea? They were fully on board with this, as the intelligence community was used to justify war back then. George W. Bush and his administration of neocons spent years building a spurious case for the war in Iraq. They collated sketchy intelligence about supposedly hidden weapons of mass destruction, fed it into a pliant press, went through the motions of seeking United Nations resolutions, and formed a ramshackle coalition of the willing before going to war. It took Donald Trump all of 5 seconds to create his own WMD scandal. And indeed, that's exactly what this is, guys. That came aboard Air Force One on Tuesday morning, when he rebuked his own Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, for sharing a U.S. intelligence assessment that Iran was not seeking a nuclear weapon. Again, like back in the era of Bush, they had to concoct all sorts of lies to convince the American people that this was happening. Here we have Trump's own intelligence saying they don't have a nuclear program, and he's completely ignoring that. I don't care what she said. He said, I think they're very close to having one, he told the press. So, yeah, just take it on Donald Trump's word, guys. Don't worry about what the intelligence community is saying. Just believe the president. It's Groundhog Day in the Pentagon. The U.S. stands on the precipice of joining another war in the Middle East to relieve another dictatorial regime of its non-existent deadly arsenal. But there are at least some procedural differences this time around. In rejecting the assessment of U.S. intelligence agencies in favor of his own instincts, Trump appears to want to just skip every step in the manufacturing of consent handbook and just declare this war based on instinct alone. Rather than sending in Marco Rubio to the United Nations with satellite photos, audio recordings, and visuals of undisclosed substances, just like Bush did with, Secretary of State Colin Powell, Trump opted to just simply declare that Iran could never have nuclear weapons, and he began mobilizing the U.S. military to act in support of Israel's ongoing attack. Whereas, Powell had a whole well of intelligence to draw on, however faulty that was, to build his own argument in front of the world. It seems that Trump has barely even glanced over his own agency's work. Gabbard testified to Congress as recently as March 26th that 18 U.S. intelligence agencies continue to assess that, listen, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei, or however you pronounce that, has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. So Trump's flippant dismissal of that assessment is truly no small thing, guys. It could be the determining factor in whether the U.S. joins in this war against a sovereign nation potentially putting American lives at risk across the Middle East and beyond. And I'll remind you, I mean, Iran hasn't invaded another country in like over 250 years. This, again, is all based on this decades-old meme that is really getting tiresome, but they just decided to jump on it and pull the trigger here. Now, back in 2016, I revealed through these Bilderberg document leaks that the Iraq war plan was hatched by that group back in 2002. If you watch that video, you'll see these leaked minutes of the Bilderberg meeting where they were telling their, 120, of some of the world's most influential people that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And, that idea was then permeated throughout the minds of the masses because you got leaders of finance, leaders of academia, leaders of, the press who were privy to this information, who bought the lie and then completely sold the lie to the American people. And what happened, guys? 1 year later, they invaded. And it was all based on a lie coming out of Bilderberg. Now, I was just at the most recent Bilderberg conference, just there in Sweden, when this whole Cold War turned hot. And so, what on earth are they cooking up in terms of this Iranian regime attack by the Trump administration? Well, the Wall Street Journal is now declaring that this final decision on whether or not the U.S. is going to engage in this, war is going to be made within the next 2 weeks. European foreign ministers are set to meet now with Iranian officials in Switzerland tomorrow, on Friday, to push for de-escalation. President Trump is going to make a decision on these potential strikes on Iran within 2 weeks. The White House press secretary has quoted a statement from him as saying, you've got European foreign ministers are now slated to meet with Iranian officials in Geneva on Friday to press them to de-escalate and to offer a rollback of Iran's nuclear activities. What on earth do they have to de-escalate here? Obviously, Israel and Trump are the aggressors in this situation. They have been for well over a decade now, as they've been trying to convince, the people of the world, and indeed the MAGA, people who voted for him, that this is what's gonna have to happen. And a lot of these people are rather upset right now after voting this man in, based on, the premise that it's going to be America first, that he wouldn't be launching any new wars. And here we are in June of 2025, and the madman is going around saying, look, I may do it, I may not do it. You're just going to have to wait and see. Again, this is absolute insanity coming from the Trump administration. So, guys, I would encourage you to check out this this really good article here about Trump, drawing the Pentagon into this Bush-era Groundhog Day situation over Iran, as he's literally shunning his own intelligence to justify this war. And right now, they're getting set to meet and discuss whether or not this is going to happen within the next 2 weeks. Again, the wars, the drums of war are beating louder and louder. So we're going to find out real soon, just whose allegiance Donald Trump is pledging to, whether it's, his promises to the American people, or if it's to, the people who have been controlling him for quite some time. So, guys, I gotta say, it's not exactly looking good. If you want to, bone up on the history of this, I would strongly suggest you check out some of these previous videos breaking down basically exactly what we're already seeing again happen now. 5 years ago, it was the same thing. 7 years ago, it was the same thing. 13 years ago, it was essentially the same thing, only under a different leader. Now we've got Donald Trump, we've got 2 weeks, and the decision of whether or not to attack Iran is going to be laid out. So very, very serious stuff, guys. This is why I wanted to just quickly bring this to your attention. Obviously, this is a very fast and quickly developing situation. Things could potentially change by the time I upload this video. So we're going to continue to pay attention to what's going to be happening in Geneva tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be some sort of press conference that we can try to sift through all the lies and misinformation, because that's what it's been a steady stream of for the last couple of decades coming from the United States, and all of their lies about these sovereign nations supposedly having these weapons of mass destruction. Again, it's the same tactic that's being used over and over again. They want you to fall for it now because there has been a concerted effort to take over the Middle East for a couple of decades now, and it looks like they're using this populist, television star, Donald Trump, to actually pull the trigger on this. Absolutely insane, guys. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm going to continue to follow up on, whatever they're going to decide in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. But remember, this has been the meme for I think this picture is 12 years old now. Again, Trump's been talking about what he's going to be doing in this regard since 1985. And if you want to look back at some of these older videos, just do a search for the word Iran, and you'll see it's been the same playbook, the same story for over a decade now. But it looks like they're about to actually pull the trigger. Very, very, very shady and scary times indeed, guys. So I just wanted to bring all of that to your attention. Once again, guys, if you do appreciate my efforts to do so, please don't forget to check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Again, you can do PayPal, you can do Bitcoin, you can do other cryptocurrencies, you could do an e-transfer, you can send stuff to me on my P.O. box. Whatever is within your means, guys, is very greatly appreciated. But just wanted to bring this breaking news to your attention. Again, it's changing by the minute, so stay tuned for further updates. But just wanted to let you know, the madman has his finger on the trigger. He's warning that this could come within potentially the next 2 weeks. And this has been in the plan for decades, that the global elite wants to take over the Middle East, and they're potentially going to use Donald Trump to do so. Absolutely crazy, guys. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Please, guys, make sure you click the thumbs up button. Be sure to share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And stay tuned. I'm going to update you with any further updates as they come in, because this is a very hot situation. I'm sure it's going to, like I said, evolve by the minute. So stay tuned for any updates as they come in. But that's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Again, please share this video and click the thumbs up button, and stay tuned for more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.